Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Isn't he good?
He's great.
Hi, people. D. Sisty in the house.
In the house.
Does anybody else call you D. Sisty?
You're the only one.
Like that.
You can patent it.
I will.
You can-
Everybody else is probably a little more official with you, right?
No, it's just whatever.
All right, time to get this one.
Yeah.
All right, I hear you. That's good.
Oh, it's good.
Microphone check 1, 2. What is this?
What it is.
What
It
it
is
is.
what it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
turn this down a little bit. There we
All
go.
right.
That's better.
All right. Got the clock going. Give me that little music that I like. The Facebook people at home can't hear that until next week. It's in our ears.
I know.
Right? They don't. They're
Well,
probably
but
wondering what's wrong
enjoy,
with us.
They enjoy the behind the scenes that's going to happen here. I'm looking right at you guys.
Yes. Absolutely.
I know where the camera's at.
All right. Facebook, week 10. MOG Radio. Dave Sisty's back.
Week 10.
Yeah.
There's something to the number 10
Yeah.
in gematria.
It's flying
The number
by.
10 means what?
We're going to have Big Rich next week. I hear Bill Callies is going to be in the building.
Who you having next week?
Rich Paskevich from the,
Oh, okay, yeah, I know who
from
it
the
is. Yeah,
from
I know.
the men's ministry.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know who else he has. He's bringing a few people, a few big testimonies with him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I wish you guys could hear it at home. Dave Sisty's getting pumped up. Ready? There it is. All right, all right. Welcome back. I'm ready. Drop it. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Man of God Radio, where faith meets real estate and real estate meets real purpose. I'm your host, KG, and we're kicking off today's episode with a quick look at what's going on in the market before we move into what's shaking the nations.
There you go.
Is the nation getting shaken right now?
In more ways than you ever know.
Man, it is. So welcome back, everybody. We are excited to have you again this week. It is week 10 of the Enlightened Realty Group radio show, Man of God Radio. We're still working on 2 names here, so we're happy to have you back. Dave Sisty is in the building.
Yes.
Representing who? Remind the people at
God's
home.
news in the news. Current
God.
events, biblical perspective.
Right. So, let's get into it. We're going to guess what's happening in the market of Waukesha and Milwaukee counties.
You're going to make me do math in public again.
I am, as we do every week. You guys are starting to get to know the show. I like to keep an eye on the inventory. That way the people at home can understand the market. So, as we do every week, we are going to look at the hot sheet, which is new listings in Waukesha, Milwaukee County. So we will start with Waukesha County. And what is your guess for the week, Dave Sisty?
You mean houses on the market?
Yep, new houses that hit the market today.
This is Milwaukee.
Waukesha.
Waukesha.
First. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say 67.
Ooh, that's good. Justin, you in this week?
Seriously? Okay.
Oh, I think you guys are more optimistic than me. I wish that was the case. I'm going to go 45.
Okay.
Let's see. What do we got? Here comes the results. 22.
Oh, man.
Oh, we're in trouble. That's not good.
No, but unless you want to get 22 buyers.
Right. Here's my thought. It's right before Memorial Day weekend,
Yeah, nobody's going to be home selling stuff.
so it's not a good time to put stuff on the market. So if
Yeah.
I got a few listings and we're putting them next week, not this week.
So why didn't you remind me that it was a holiday weekend?
I wanted to.
I would have adjusted my count based upon that information.
Yeah, well, see, that's not how I roll because I like to let you guys think everything through before you give me an answer.
No, you just like to trick us.
Right. All right. Based on that, 22 new listings in Waukesha County. What do we think happened in Milwaukee County?
Well, let's see. Last week I overshot it. Well, I was actually pretty good.
You were pretty good.
Last week on the Milwaukee. Once I learned the how it works.
Right.
I'm gonna say 47.
That's a good one. Joss? 34. 47, 34. I got to go in the middle. 42.
Okay.
Let's see. Here we go. Drum roll. 69.
All those people in Waukesha decided
Yeah.
to sell their houses in Milwaukee.
Wow. Hey, that's pretty good. Oh,
There's
there's a new listing. We'll give a shout out to Sarah Oberbrunner. She works with me at Keller Williams. She's got a new condo going live. Well, it went live today. 2-bed, 2-bath on Loomis Road in Franklin, Wisconsin. 260,000. She is so cool. You know what she did?
What?
She called me 2 days ago. She said, "KG, I know your team rocks. Do you want to do the open house for my new listing?" I said, "Absolutely." So we're doing a twilight open house tonight from 4 to 6. And then we're doing another one on Saturday. Damaris will be doing it.
There you go.
Damaris Hurtado.
There you go. Getting some new faces in there.
Right. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good result for Milwaukee County. Shout out to Sarah for letting us do her open house. So, if you've been on the fence about buying or selling, it's time to jump off and plant your flag. New construction in Waukesha, Milwaukee County is still strong. We're getting a lot of new construction. I had a guy just call me today. Another person, he's frustrated with the inventory and the market. He says, "You know what? I just want to build my own house." So we're seeing like an increased activity, especially in ranch-style homes. I'm getting the 60-somethings, and they want ranches. And they don't want a project. They want, they want a move-in, ready condition home. And a lot of the houses in the price range, which is between $700 and $900, they're finding that they need it turns into some type of project, $100,000 to $200,000 project. So like, nope, don't delay. I'm going to build with KG today, is what they're saying.
There you go.
Right?
You got your crew. You got your building crew. You've got your selling crew.
Definitely.
Got your crew socks.
Yeah, got my crew socks. We're doing a lot of roofs. We're doing more hail inspections this weekend.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about downsizing or moving into something brand new with no maintenance headaches, this could be the one. So let me know if you're ready to build some new construction and make that dream home. A lot of these people I talk to, they're like, we've worked hard. It's time to retire. This is the last house we're buying. We want to make sure it's the absolute right one, and that's where we come in. So yeah, if you have any of those needs, let us know. Now, we're going to cut it early. God's been telling me to cut it early. He says, enough of that real estate stuff. We got to get into the real thing. So let's switch gears.
Who told you that?
The Lord told me.
Oh, the big guy.
The real big guy.
I was going to say, I got to talk to whoever's scheduling the stuff, and you said the big guy's like, okay.
Yeah, no, he's been real clear. He's like, I didn't really have you there for just real estate, for sure, as you guys are knowing.
I got to live up to this now.
Right, so we're going to switch gears and talk prophecy, because the housing market isn't the only thing heating up, so is the world.
You got that right. Closer we get to his return, the closer these things are going to happen.
Right.
Birth pangs.
Absolutely. So, as we look around, we're seeing headlines that echo scripture like never before. Wars, rumors of wars, economic tremors, global alliances shifting like tectonic plates. Are they still shifting?
Yeah, they always do. They're shifty. They're shifty.
That's good.
They're always moving.
Right. So if you got a Bible in one hand and a news feed in the other, you're probably asking yourself, is this it? Is this it?
No.
Right?
We're getting closer.
They're asking that, right?
We want to look at the signs. We want to make sure that we're watching, we're prepared. And I can confidently tell you we're getting so much closer.
Right.
We're at the end of the end days, the last of the last times. So
I believe it. So before we get in, I have 2 verses I wanted to go over, and we'll get you in.
Okay.
So let's dive in. And you probably know it by heart, but I'm not going to test you on the air. Ezekiel 38, verses 7 through 8.
Yeah.
Be prepared and prepare yourself, you and all your companies that are assembled about you, and be a guard for them. After many days you will be summoned. In later years you will come into the land that it be restored from the sword. Now you don't hear that one all the time.
In your devotional, I don't think that's the one everybody is drawn to, but it's important.
Right. And then 2 Thessalonians verse 3, let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. What do we think of that one?
That's the Antichrist.
Right.
Yeah, so there's going to be he's not going to be on the scene until there's a falling away, unfortunately.
Right. So more the falling away. More about that.
Well, you want to go that one? That's the third. That's the
Oh,
third
we
of
are-
three topics.
okay, we'll get to
that's
that.
Cool. I can roll. I can
All
roll
right.
with it.
Got it.
Yeah. So these Thessalonians, they were pretty dull. They didn't catch things. He told them in person
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. Then he sent them a letter in 1 Thessalonians. Say, look, you didn't miss it. Hadn't happened yet. And then he found out they were still deceived. They were still not getting it. So he had to send us a third letter. You know, when you got a kid
Mm-hmm.
and you tell them once to stop, you expect them to stop. They get it right. Then they do it a second time, and you say, okay, now I'm going. The third time, you're not happy with them.
Right.
Well,
Today.
I was about to say, if that ain't God calling, don't answer it.
It had all sevens. I don't know. It could have been. I hit decline. That's not good.
All right, there we go. It's live.
All right.
Okay. But anyway, though, so these Thessalonians, they weren't the sharpest tack. They weren't the brightest bulb in the bunch. But they were concerned because they said, you told us about the last days. You told us about the Antichrist. You told us about the rapture. You told us about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We think we missed it. And he spent those 2 books and said, look, you didn't miss it. But he says, here's some of the things you got to watch for. And in this, 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says, let no one deceive you by any means, for that day, talking about the rapture,
Mm-hmm.
will not come unless the falling away comes first and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. So there's 2 things going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't miss it because the Antichrist isn't here. And then he describes what the Antichrist would be, and then he tells them, here's what's keeping him from being on the scene, the restrainer. So he said, you didn't miss it, guys, you didn't miss it. But it's that falling away, that cold, the moral confusion and deception that the church is seeing. Paul said it's going to happen. It's going to happen in the last days. And so that is a sign we have to watch for. So now the question is, current events, biblical perspective. We got the biblical perspective. What are some of the signs of people falling away? Well, what do you think, Kevin?
Well, I think you hit it earlier. Confusion between the churches, because you have some groups that say and preach one thing, and some that say and preach another.
There's moral confusion.
Mm-hmm.
There's spiritual confusion. People going, well, that isn't what the Bible said. I mean, I go onto social media. I call them TikTok Bible scholars.
Right.
Okay, and they think, hey, this is what the Bible says. I'm a Bible scholar, and I know what's going on here. This doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean this. And it just gets to be, there's such the moral confusion is, I would think, obvious. It's, you just have to read, what's going on and what's popular. It's like, but it's that spiritual deception that we got to be careful on.
Right.
The Bible says when you call evil good and good evil, that's the kind of falling away. You don't do things like that unless you are getting farther and farther away from the truth. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. We've got denominations that are promoting things that God hates. God loves this. God hates this. They are saying God loves this when God hates it. And it's like, so.
Yeah, people like to take the Bible and they think it shifts with cultures and it shifts with times, where it's very clear that's not how it works.
I'll even take it further. In your own personal life, if you think, all right, here's the question. You ask yourself a question: are you closer to God today than you were yesterday? Or to say, are you more on fire for God today than you were, 2 years ago, 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
When people give their lives to Christ, they're like burning fires. They're wildfires, but they're burning. Are you finding that your love for God is waning? Are you finding that your love for other things is increasing? But if you ask yourself that question, it's a really simple question. Are you closer to God today than you were yesterday? If you answer no, that's what he's talking about, that great falling away. You've got to be going the other direction.
Right.
So
That's true. All right, let's get into another question. I have a couple of questions for you that I personally want to hear, so I'm pretty sure everybody else out there does.
Okay.
So, as global tech started over, cut that out later. Let me turn off my phone. Who keeps calling?
Baby.
Oh,
Baby?
Bubby, I'm on the air. Yeah.
Okay.
I answered by accident. Bye.
Did you put a mark on that?
I don't even know how to do it from here. And we're just gonna have to deal with it. All right. Ready for that again?
So that was your wife?
Yeah. Should be all right. All right. Let me do a lead in. All right. So I have a few questions for you that
You want the answers to these two?
I want the answers.
Okay, I got you.
I want to know the times and discern the times, and I'm sure everybody else wants to too. So as
Ryan said the lav mics were low.
what's that?
Ryan said the mics on the Facebook
The lavalier
were low.
mics, the ones that were here?
The ones are on
Too
the.
loud?
They're
No, they're too low.
quiet. Too low.
Oh,
So
Do you know how to turn the
close-
volume up on them?
I don't know.
There's the volume on it in there.
I have no idea.
Well, there's no volume button on there.
Oh, you got to do it on the.
What about like that? This is not good for live.
You don't put on your person, on your shirt collar.
Yeah.
You can clip it. You should be able to clip it under the. You should be able to clip it on your sweatshirt.
Yeah,
I
I'm good.
will. Okay. Now, this has got to be up. Okay. Let's get it on there.
Here I am thinking we had perfect volume.
That was incredible.
Okay.
You turned yours off.
I did?
Is mine on?
How about
Other
now?
one.
Let me see. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Now we're both on, and yours are louder. So.
Good. Louder with crowd.
Hey, it's part of showbiz, folks.
Joy13.com.
Yep. Andale, pues. Okay. So, I have some questions that I want to go over.
Okay.
I'm sure the people at home want to know,
Sure.
right? Because it can be confusing. There's a lot of, the Bible's clear, but it's not always that clear in some of these situations, right? So here's
Well,
some questions.
What I always tell people is, and it sounds a little silly, but the closer you get to a Bible prophecy being fulfilled, the more sense it makes, the more you can figure it out. And that's when you talk about Bible prophecy and wars and rumors of wars, it doesn't make sense when you first get it, but the closer we get to its actual fulfillment, we'll begin to see the logic and the reasoning for why this happens. So just I'll factor that in overall as an umbrella for this whole thing, and it'll make sense in a second.
That's good. All right, so here's one question, and it's pertinent to today. So as global tensions rise and nations realize, do you think we're witnessing the early movements of prophetic alliances that was described in Ezekiel 38? You always hear people talking about Ezekiel 38.
Right. So, I think you read this verse, but I'm going to read it again. Ezekiel 38, verses 2 through 6 says, "This son of man, set your face against Gog, the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and prophesy against him. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya are with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his troops, the house of Togarmah, from the far north and his troops, many people are with you." And this is, when I was just a young Christian, the senior pastor that I was under, he was really big on prophecy, and he talked about this war. And, it was like, wow, that's, and he said, this war is going to happen. Now, this was back in the 70s, so it's like, I was like, wow. But you know what? It piqued my interest, because then I read Matthew 24, and it says, in the end times there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. Everybody talks about that.
Right.
Well, if he says there's going to be wars and rumors of wars, then you should start looking at conflicts around the earth. Now, there's generically, the wars and rumors of them happening are going to be, they're always going to be. I think you can also play that in this. I'll get to this in a second, but the wars and rumors of wars, how that's going to be a bigger sign is because I think social media and the internet allows us to know how many conflicts are happening, and we can keep up to date with all of them.
Real time.
Real time. So,
Right.
but this one is particular because it concerns the people Israel. Okay, the children of God. Like I told you last time, Israel's the super sign. So you watch what's happening there, you're going to figure it out. This war here in Ezekiel 38 is one of those wars that you got to watch for, because if you see it happening, you know how close you are to the events of, like, say, the tribulation, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So this one here is what we're talking about. So Ezekiel 38. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm going to set you up. I didn't give this to you, but there weren't chapters and verses in the original manuscript. So Ezekiel 37 was led right into Ezekiel 38 and then 39. Mm-hmm. Logic, you know.
Math in public.
Math in public. This isn't even math. This is English or whatever it is. All I can tell you is you read 37 and it pertains to 38. It's just one narrative there. Well, what's in 37? I guarantee you, most of you people that know their Bibles that are listening, you've heard about the dry bones coming back to life.
Yes.
Well, that leads into 38. So when he talks about will these dry bones live, that's the nation of Israel coming back to life in our day. Well, that happened May 14th, 1948.
Yes.
So now Israel's in play. Now there's a nation to come against. So you can't have these nations aligning against Israel if they don't exist. So they exist as a nation. Hadn't happened for over 2,000 years. Now we've got a nation, so now they can attack somebody. And then Ezekiel 38 gives us the nations. It gives us the nations. Now, it also talks about in there, when they're coming down, those first verses, they're coming down against a land, a people that are living in peace and safety without walls and gates. Mm-hmm. Did you know right now Israel is surrounded by 4 walls to keep people out? And this is obviously radio, so I can't show them. Right. But that's what's happening. So the condition of Israel now does not match the condition of Israel in this war. So something has to happen between now and then for them to be saying live in peace and safety. Understand, in 1948, they were declared a nation, and then they were immediately attacked by the nations around them. Happened 3 more times. And now they're fighting a war now. They have never in their entire modern day existence lived without the threat of attacks, missiles being shot at them. And so how do they get from that with those walls to this here, where Simon Ezekiel? Well, I think the current events are leading to that. So that's what I'm going to do it there. But now we got these nations coming against them. So I don't know about you, but when I read these nations and they're listed here, I want to know who they are. I was like, well, all right, so who are these people? So let me go ahead and I'll break it down for you here. I'm trying to take too much time here.
No, I think it's important. So if you need more time on this,
no, it's okay. Well, we're gonna get there. So all right, so we got all these nations. Of course, the first one's Gog, and that is more of a title than a nation. So we're gonna put that off to the side. So it's like David is my first name, Sisti is my last name. So it's the person of David who lives in the nation of Sisti.
Okay. Kind of
get you that there. So Gog, we just going to know, but Magog, I call these the stand countries. They're basically Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and perhaps Afghanistan. Those are in Magog. So you got that area there. That's what we're talking about there. These nations are predominantly Muslim. That may play into it. We don't know, but probably does. Yes. Then you got Rosh, which is probably Russia. Okay. Meshach and Tubal, probably Turkey. Persia, that's the easy one. That's Iran. Yeah. Okay. And so they fiercely oppose Israel today. Ethiopia, it's modern-day Sudan and Ethiopia. So when you put those two together, so when I looked at that, I go, okay, why would Sudan want to attack Israel? They are one of Israel's greatest enemies now. People don't understand that. Probably because of a religious affiliation. Mm-hmm. They hate Israel. So that was an easy one. Turkey, though, I mean, you get back to Turkey. Turkey was a pretty modern nation not that long ago. And very Western, very modern. Mm-hmm. They were not a problem at all. But it's flipped. Your leaders flip. That's what happens in these countries, especially in Africa. You know, they may be good today. They may be 2 years from now. They've taken over, and then suddenly they build an alliance. So anyway, though, so Turkey's a big player. People don't understand. Turkey's got a really impressive army. If it wasn't for Iran, they would have the dominant army in that area. Maybe they have it anyway.
Okay.
And they do not. They are not friends with Israel. Okay, so if you read the president there, Erdogan, nothing nice to say about Israel. So,
Okay.
and then sometimes Bible prophecy can be easily more understood by looking at a map. So I would encourage people listening to this, pull out a map. If you look at it, if Russia's going to invade Israel, they got to go through Turkey. Just common sense.
And then Russia's been doing stuff with Turkey.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you're talking about it. So we're going to get into that. But now Libya, modern day Libya, is Libya. So there it is. You know, that was one of the easier ones. Gomer. Now this one, some people may not be happy with this one,
all right.
but Gomer probably is modern day Germany.
Okay.
See, and so you go down that road there. So there are people but now when you look at world history, Germany was involved with World War I, World War II. They have a habit of getting involved in conflicts.
Yeah.
And Germany is dependent upon Russia for supplies.
Big time.
And Germany has sold Russia arms. So you got to look at this whole thing. Iran has provided Russia with weaponry to fight Ukraine. So they may be calling in a marker saying, hey, look, we helped you in that fight. You're going to help us in this one. Because it says in the verses there, I'm going to put a hook in the jaw of Russia to bring them down into this area. Now, some people thought it was going to be oil. But I think it could be political, you know, because all these countries say, hey, look, we helped you out. We're calling the marker in. You got to come down and help us. They don't want to. And people also forget something else. Russia's always wanted to expand and have a presence in the Middle East.
Right.
But when that didn't work out, they went to Europe. But they've always wanted to have a presence there. So there's some things going on there. So these are your countries right there, and they all make sense. And if you look at them right now, you look at these countries, why would they come? Why would they want to come against Israel? Well, it's probably going to be spiritual, be religious, and it could be political. So kind of watch what they say. So the closer we get to this war, you're going to check who are they being influenced by.
Right.
You know, so there it is.
It's interesting to see how small Israel is, and everybody doesn't like. You know, what I mean, it's like nothing if you really think about how big states and stuff are.
Yeah, and the thing about this one here is that they don't win this war on their own. Everybody looks at Israel and they go, man, they've got a lot of this, they got a lot of that, they can prove this, they can do that. Their military is really strong. Well, guess what? You cannot survive with all of these countries coming against you at one time, especially Turkey and Russia, and then Iran. They're all going to come against them and say, look, we're coming against Israel. Israel cannot possibly survive by themselves. This war, God wins it for them. Just all sorts of things. Armies fighting against army, hail, fire, all sorts of earthquakes. He defeats all these armies, and Israel doesn't have to do it because they can't.
Right, and he's known for that. He has a history of helping
You think?
people who shouldn't win.
So again, that's why you got to look at Israel. And this war hasn't happened yet. But if you just look at it, all the pieces are there now.
It reminds. I just heard Jimmy D. Young in my head. It's setting the stage for Bible prophecy to be fulfilled. Have you ever heard him?
I've heard
how
him,
he
yeah,
talks?
the late Jimmy D. Young.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I don't have his cadence, but I agree with him. But again, it's like, probably 20 years ago, we couldn't figure out why all these countries were wanting to do this or do that. There was no reason for it. Then when the Soviet Soviet Union fell, they were like, well, what are they going to do? And so all these things, right now Russia will not, maybe Russia doesn't want to get involved in this one. The hook in the jaw is because they're still fighting Ukraine. We don't know. We simply don't know. But what we do know is that Ezekiel gave us the list of nations, and it makes sense now.
Agreed. All right, cut for a minute. So, we're running low on time, and I haven't got into question 2 yet. You kind of hit 3, right, earlier.
Yeah.
What's the most we can get, Justin? Can you add like 2 more? No. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, how do you want to do it?
Well, I mean, if you wanna cut this one, and then we can start recording for another one, that's okay with me.
Yeah.
No, we can do it. Yeah, we can do it.
We can go out and then come back.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna come back in again.
Okay.
Well, unless you just want to put it off for another time.
Got it. You mean today we could do it?
We can do it today,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah. Let's do it today.
All right, let's do it.
We'll keep it going. All right, so I'll do an outro, and then we'll act like we're doing another one. Do you have time for that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We can, and just go in deep to stuff.
Well, the one thing we didn't get was the mark of the beast. I think we can probably go a little longer on that.
Okay. Is that in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a
Where
question you haven't mentioned yet.
is-
It's the
global
second.
ID.
It's the
Got
second
it.
question.
All right, got it. All right, so don't
We
do
can
an
do it.
outro, just keep going. Okay, all right, change the clock, I guess. And then you'll outro it later or something. Because actually, you could do the outro that we did last time,
Yeah.
because he gets to say, do you still have that or not? Okay. Yeah, if you could find the outro from last time, it's kind of the
Yeah.
same. Maybe,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I just gave the same information then as then,
All right,
then as now. So yeah.
right. All right, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right, that was good.
Mm.
Very insightful. Like you said, I think it's important that
Yeah.
people get a map and
Mhm.
look at it.
Yeah, geography.
Right.
Yeah.
Only people really look how small Israel is.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and there's got to be. See, there's nothing there that Israel has these other countries can't get some other way. It's definitely a spiritual, political thing, a religious thing.
Mm-hmm.
They simply, when you hear that chant from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Well, the sea is the Mediterranean Sea, the river is the Jordan River. Those are your borders of Israel. They don't want Israel to exist.
Right.
Doesn't matter how big their land is, they don't like them.
Got it. That's true. All right, let's get into the next one. With the increasing talk of digital currency, global ID systems, do you think we're getting closer to the infrastructure described in Revelation 13?
Well, you got to read Revelation 13, verses 16 through 17,
Real-
which I will do.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
real quick before you do that,
Yeah.
is this true? Is China on digital currency as we
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah.
And then there's another country I heard. I thought.
Yeah, there's countries that are adopting this digital currency.
I don't like it.
Well, of course you don't like it.
We'll
Yeah.
get into reasons why.
Well, but yeah, this is why we're talking about, because when you mentioned Revelation 13, people may not understand Revelation 13. Oh, that's right after 12 and right before 14. What you don't realize is you know exactly what's in there.
Right.
It's the mark of the beast, 666. Everybody knows those things.
Yes, and I wanted to say the word infrastructure is a fancy word for mark of the beast.
Well, infrastructure,
way.
the actual, are we edging closer to that infrastructure?
Right.
Because there has to be a structure to have a digital currency because it talks about, let's just read the scripture.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
And you know this one. I guarantee there are people that haven't been to a church for 30 years. They know this.
Let's go. Let's hit
Okay,
it.
here it is. So it says in Revelation 13, 16 through 17, he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, that no one may buy or sell except the one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Well, what's that number? 666. There are people who don't want that 666 on their driver's license, or their license plates.
Sometimes you see it though.
Well, some people are rebellious.
Right.
I tell you, there are people that will not park in a parking space numbered 666. They literally, when they get to that number system on a license plate, they don't make as many of them, if at all. They stop them. And people take them back. They're melting, they take them back. I don't want that on there. So they're very superstitious about that number
And
666.
when people make hotels and things like that.
No 13th floor, but there's, you're right. No room number 666, because nobody's going to stay at it.
Not many.
I worked at a company that had a parking structure, had a parking space 666. Nobody wanted to park in it.
I don't like when you got a receipt that ends up that way.
I had like 666 emails in my inbox. I took a picture of it and I deleted one.
There you go.
So, but we play games with that. But like I said, Mark of the Beast 666. Everybody knows about that.
Yes.
You bring that up, they go, okay, I know about that, but what does it really mean?
Okay.
So when we're asking about the digital currency, what we're talking about is CBDCs, and that's central bank digital currency. So if you ever want to know what that acronym means, so what it is, it's a digital currency, and so you don't have to have money, you don't have to have anything. All you have to do is know that your money is digital. And you don't have to you don't have to give a bill or anything, a dollar bill or whatever currency it is. It's all digital,
Right.
which seems to make life easier for you, but it's a matter of control. So it's that controlling the finances that this verse kind of not just hints, it points to. So that's what it is. That's what's coming. Is this infrastructure setting up? Of course it is. I mean, that's an easy answer. Yes. It is. But now, of course, the next thing is, how does it affect us as believers, Christians, or anybody? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? I always joke about, they think that, you're going to have a chip in your arm because how they're, in your right, under your right forehand, your right hand or your forehead. I always joke, I said, my wife, the only chip's going to go in her is a potato chip or taco chip. She says, no chips.
No chips.
No chips for you. And so, I always tell people, look, don't worry about it. The technology that's going into place now, yes, it's a foreshadowing. We're getting closer to Revelation 13 because he can